Here we go. Roll video.
Turn over, please.
Roll video.
It's hard to make a movie. Nobody knew that more than Stanley Kubrick, the man who brought us The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, and the moon landing. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
No, not at all.
During the past few weeks, I've wondered whether you might be having some second thoughts about the mission.
In 1998, the Directors Guild bestowed on him the D.W. Griffith Award.
Anyone who has ever been privileged to direct a film also knows that although it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car in an amusement park, when you finally get it right, there are not many joys in life that can equal the feeling.
If he sounds a little stoic there, it's because he was in the middle of making Eyes Wide Shut, a movie so meticulously crafted, so obsessively detailed, that some say it drove him to the brink.
I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight, but I'm in London making Eyes Wide Shut, and just about this time I'm probably in the car on the way to the studio.
Kubrick first got the idea for the film after reading a novella called Dream Story by Arthur Schnitzler in the late 1960s. It's a surreal exploration of a traumatized couple that deals with the themes of sex, death, and the fragility of marriage. All things in Kubrick's wheelhouse.
Yes.
Ultimately, the project would not begin development until the mid-1990s. It took over 2 years to shoot at Pinewood Studios outside of London, under conditions so secret that Warner Brothers, the studio behind it, had little idea what the film was about.
Can we be of any help?
Well, I suppose you'd like the password.
If you'd like, sir.
In 1997, the New York Times reported, quote, "Perhaps it's not the Manhattan Project, but Eyes Wide Shut is wrapped in a level of security that would not be inappropriate for a top-secret scientific conclave." In the same article, an unnamed source connected to Kubrick said, "I know that it's a story of sexual obsession and jealousy, but that's as much as I know. I don't know exactly what that means. I haven't read the script. This all just increases my excitement at seeing the movie when it comes in, whenever that is." It would be a while. Production began in October 1996 and lasted nearly 3 years with a price tag of $65 million. The movie holds the Guinness World Record for the longest continuous film shoot, finally wrapping on June 17, 1998. Warner Brothers president Terry Semel convinced Kubrick to cast a famous movie star, which he hadn't done since The Shining.
Here's Johnny!
At first, he considered Harrison Ford, the quintessential American movie star.
Maybe it's a bad idea.
That didn't end up working out. Next in consideration for the lead was none other than Alec Baldwin.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Then Kubrick changed his mind again and thought of Woody Allen.
You know, this is crazy.
It's weird to think that at one point, Eyes Wide Shut could have been a Midwinter's Night sex comedy, but that never came to fruition.
Oh, that's bullshit.
One fateful day during those early stages of development, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, who were married at the time, visited Kubrick at his estate in England. After a lengthy conversation, a light bulb turned on and he cast both of them in the lead roles. It would be their third time co-starring together, following Days of Thunder and Far and Away.
I pretend I love you. I pretend I love you too.
Both Cruise and Kidman signed open-ended contracts and agreed to work on the film for as long as it would take to make it.
No one makes movies like Stanley Kubrick. So people said to me, when we were working, they'd ask Nicole, you know, how do you feel all the takes or how much time? See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, movies take what they take. It's not, I've never felt movies to be, well, you know, a slot in life. And this certainly was a journey and an experience that I can't imagine. I don't know what's going to be in the future, but it was an extraordinary time, extraordinary.
And it would be a long time. So long that Tom Cruise had to accept the Best Male Lead trophy for Jerry Maguire via satellite at the 1997 MTV Movie Awards.
Thank you very,
very much for this award. I wish I could be there with you tonight in person, but I'm here in London, the home of Oasis, shooting another film, Eyes Wide Shut, with Stanley Kubrick and my wife, Nick.
Besides the generally slow pace Kubrick worked at, there were also major reshoots. All scenes involving Jennifer Jason Leigh had to be redone because of a scheduling conflict with another movie. She couldn't see the long production through to the finish line.
Are you kidding me?
French actress Marie Richardson stepped in to take over the role.
It's so unreal.
And then there's Harvey Keitel. He and Kubrick did not get along, and this eventually led to his dismissal.
Mr. Kubrick did some things I objected to. I didn't like. I thought they were disrespectful, and I won't be disrespected by him or anybody. And if any actor can help it, they should help it.
Yeah.
You don't want to get fired, no. But I was.
Keitel was subsequently replaced by Sidney Pollack.
This was for your own good, believe me.
One anonymous crew member called the experience a nightmare. Stanley Kubrick's reputation as a difficult perfectionist preceded him. On the set of The Shining, the late great Shelley Duvall had a nervous breakdown in response to his verbal jabs and demanding work environment.
Oh, come on. What do you mean roll
2
video?
seconds.
We're fucking killing ourselves out here, and you're going to be ready.
I am too. I'm standing
So we
right
play
by
mood
the
music?
door.
Although he generally treated bigger movie stars with more respect, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were not immune to his ruthless directorial methods. Kubrick would sit down with them for long quasi-therapy sessions and get them to confess their darkest fears and uncomfortable details about their sexual pasts. Then during filming, he would create tension between them as a couple. A pivotal sex scene involving Kidman and a young male model took almost a week to shoot. Cruise was banned from the set on those days, and she was forbidden to divulge any details to him about what went on. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Kidman described the experience as both exciting and dangerous. Quote, "As an actor, you set up. There's reality and there's pretend. And those lines get crossed, and it happens when you're working with a director that allows that to happen."
I mean, the thing about Stanley was he never explained his motives. He never explained why. He would get irritated if you asked him, "So what does this mean?" or "Why did you cast us?" or "Tell me the meaning of this scene. How do you want me to play it?" That irritated him. He wanted. He hated to have to explain.
Alice? Alice? It's okay. It's okay.
Eyes Wide Shut was originally scheduled to be released in December 1998, but was obviously delayed. About 1 million feet of film was shot, and it took a year to edit.
Well.
One important scene in a billiards room took 3 weeks to shoot and over 200 takes. That's a lot of intense staring from Tom Cruise. The new release date was chosen as July 16th, 1999. The movie's plot was shrouded in mystery. The marketing campaign cleverly focused on the brand of Cruise, Kidman, Kubrick. The teaser featured quick, tantalizing shots set to Chris Isaac's Baby Did a Bad, Bad Thing.
Eyes Wide Shut, rated R.
It was leaked to the press that the plot revolved around a pair of married psychiatrists who have sex with their patients. As we know now, this was false. Cruise does play a doctor, but it's a medical doctor.
Okay.
Eyes Wide Shut is a psychosexual thriller about a well-to-do Manhattan couple, William and Alice Hartford, whose marriage is rocked after a casual marijuana-infused conversation turns heated one night, forcing them to face hard truths about their relationship.
Men have to stick it in every place they can, but for women it is just about security and commitment and whatever the fuck else.
A little oversimplified, Alice, but yes, something like that.
If you men only knew.
This leads Dr. Hartford on a long, strange journey through the city that brings him to an at-home patient call, a jazzy nightclub with an old friend, and a mansion where a secret society partakes in orgies while wearing Venetian masks. The film is hypnotic and dreamlike, or nightmare-like to be more accurate.
If you make any further inquiries, or if you say a single word to anyone about what you have seen, there will be the most dire consequences for you and your family.
By early March 1999, Eyes Wide Shut was in its final post-production stages. Kubrick screened a cut of the film for family, friends, and Warner Brothers. Nobody predicted that he would be dead within a few days. On March 7th, the legendary director passed away in his sleep of an apparent heart attack.
Stanley Kubrick, one of film's greatest yet most controversial figures, died today. He was 70. An eccentric and recluse, Kubrick was revered by his peers for movies like 2001, A Space Odyssey, Spartacus, and A Clockwork Orange.
Those close to him were shocked, claiming he had been in good health and good spirits. Others wondered if the stress of the film got to him. Maybe it was one too many late-night editing sessions. Or was it the pressure of having to deliver a masterpiece?
People are always looking, they come to my films expecting the last film, or the film before the last, and they're coming waiting for something, and when it doesn't, like waiting for a fastball, and then somebody throws you a slow changeup, and they don't like it. They swing at the fastball and they think, shit, he threw me the wrong pitch.
Whatever the case, he was gone, and Eyes Wide Shut would go on without him.
Someone died. It happens all the time. But life goes on. It always does. Until it doesn't.
Kubrick's untimely death further added to the intrigue surrounding the movie. Controversy erupted when it was announced that the infamous orgy scene had been digitally altered to tone down the sexual content.
To avoid the dreaded NC-17 rating, Kubrick had to tone down the sex for American audiences.
I don't have a problem with the film as it was, but there is a rating system in the United States, and it is what it is.
Unfortunately, American audiences are not going to see it the way Kubrick filmed it because he had to digitally add figures to block most of the explicit scenes.
Fun fact, Eyes Wide Shut was not the only movie that summer to cover up nudity with CGI.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
The studio claimed Kubrick approved the changes before he died, and also that the final cut was completed according to his notes and instructions.
You're putting me on.
Opening weekend, Eyes Wide Shut secured its spot at the top of the box office with a haul of $21 million. Not bad for a prestige film with no explosions or car chases. It would end up grossing $55 million domestically, which fell short of expectations, but fared much better overseas, raking in another $106 million. The film received mixed reviews, with some critics calling it mesmerizing and richly atmospheric, while others labeled it as overblown and dull. One of its detractors was apparently Kubrick himself. This is according to R. Lee Ermey, the real-life drill instructor turned actor who starred in Full Metal Jacket.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to.
Ermey stayed in touch with Kubrick over the years and detailed his last conversation with him in a 2006 interview with Radar Online. Quote, "He called me about 2 weeks before he died, as a matter of fact. We had a long conversation about Eyes Wide Shut. He told me it was a piece of shit and that he was disgusted with it and that the critics were going to have him for lunch. He said Cruise and Kidman had their way with him, exactly the words he used. He was kind of a shy, little timid guy. He wasn't real forceful. That's why he didn't appreciate working with big, high-powered actors. They would have their way with him. He would lose control and his movie would turn to shit."
What in the hell are you talking about?
If Ermey's story is true, then it adds validity to the theory that Kubrick's stress over the film contributed to his declining health. It wouldn't be the first time this happened to a director. In his book Hollywood Animal, screenwriter Joe Esterhaas describes how Richard Marquand's stressful experience directing the 1987 flop Hearts of Fire led to him suffering a deadly stroke.
I understood the full horror of the lesson here. If you allowed Hollywood to infect your soul, not your brain, not even your heart, but your soul, you became vulnerable to the shiv with which Hollywood could kill you. Hollywood had handed my friend Richard Marquand that platinum and diamond shiv, and he had taken it and plunged it into himself. He hadn't died of a stroke after all. He'd been killed by a very bad movie called Hearts of Fire.
We may never know the truth of what Kubrick thought of Eyes Wide Shut, or if he approved the final cut, or if the production caused his early demise. What we're left with is the movie itself. Fellow genius director Martin Scorsese lists it as one of his favorites.
I think Eyes Wide Shut is a profound film about love, sex, and trust in a marriage, about learning to take things day by day and either accepting or ignoring whatever unpleasant truths come along. It's also a film I cherish because it puts you in the authoritative hands of an old master with a style that flies in the face of every modern convention.
Yes.
Eyes Wide Shut is certainly something special. It's an absorbing and technically brilliant film that lends itself to repeat viewings. While it never reaches the heights of some of his earlier work like The Shining, it comes close. That's good enough for me.
There is something very important that we need to do as soon as possible.
What's that?
Leave us some comments. What do you think of Eyes Wide Shut and all the controversies surrounding it?
Really exceptional.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see ya on the next one.